If you're an introvert like me, then we can probably agree that speaking in front of other people, especially if it's on the spot, is just the worst thing. But in the last month, I figured out this one thing that completely changed the way I thought about confidence. Roll the intro. So the one thing about confidence is that we tend to think that it's in how many times we succeed that we start to gain confidence. But it's actually the opposite way. It's in how many times that we fail all throughout the experience that we start to gain confidence. Let me show you what I mean. So let's go back to where it all started. So when we were a kid, we didn't know how to walk, right? So we were just like crawling, and then we would try to stand up, and then we would fall over because we're not that good at balancing yet. So what happens then? That's considered as a failure, right? We try again. We're crawling, and then we try to stand up again, and then we fall over again. And then this happens again and again and again until we finally matured enough that we can finally stand and try to walk. So it was in this case that failure led us to having confidence to start walking. Because what did failure mean back then? Didn't mean shit. It was completely normal for a child to try and fail at something because they're kids. That's what they do. So that's what led them to eventually learn stuff and have confidence in it. So our problem right now is that failure means a lot. Oh, I want to start this business, but I don't really know if it'll pop off, and if it doesn't, then I would just have wasted time and effort. So in our day and age, failure means so much that we just can't afford to have it happen. So what do? We wait for the perfect time, and then we do nothing until that perfect time comes. For the majority of my life, I hated speaking in front of other people because, my God, if I said the wrong thing, I could not afford getting laughed at, getting yelled at by my parents and teachers for being anxious and stumbling my words. I just could not afford stumbling my words. Every time that I have to speak in front, I would get so anxious that it would just ruin the thing. So there were two things that were in it for me. One is to make a script and then memorize it word for word, or I could just choose to not talk at all. So these two things are doomed to fail. Let me show you why. So making a script and memorizing it word for word is not a viable option if you're talking on the spot. Like when you get asked random questions and stuff like that, And then choosing not to talk is just not a viable option when you're chosen to talk. So in short, I'm fucked. So what do we do in order to gain confidence? So in therapy, there's this thing called systematic desensitization. And one part of that treatment process is called gradual exposure with less commitment. This is what we're looking for. So we take that thing that we don't have confidence in and we make it so that failing at that one thing is something that we can afford to have. How do we do that? So let's say I'm not confident in my singing abilities. What I can do in order to improve my singing abilities is by doing something that is less committal. So like recording myself singing or just singing by myself. If I'm not confident in talking to other people, then I could just get rid of the people. I could just talk by myself in front of a camera. Or I could just record myself like a podcast, So doing these things that I could listen back to in order to improve some things that needs improving. And doing that with less commitment. Like I'm not gonna record myself talking in front of other people, right? That's way too committal. Because what if I just stumble like this? What if I run out of words to say? So what we're doing here is that we're cutting our goals in half, and then we're cutting it in half again. We'll call this golden 1/4. So my goal is talking in front of other people. Cut it in half is like talking to one person, not many. Then we cut that in half again, which is just talking by myself. Then talking by myself is something that I can afford to fail in because there's nobody watching. Nobody's gonna watch this. Nobody's gonna judge me for just stumbling my words and running out of things to say. Like what I'm doing right now. We're giving ourselves an environment where it's okay to fail, and we're doing something just for the sake of doing it. So one thing that happens when you start doing this is that it takes away the need for you to succeed or fail, which is what you need in order to gain confidence in life. See, confidence is a skill, and the way to improve it is by gradual exposure with less commitment. Now, this gives you an environment where it's okay for you to fail, and you can do this whether you succeed on it or not. And how you do that is by learning from the success and surviving your failures. Learning from your success is very easy. You just take your success and you see what you can do in order to do it again. Basic. And I've already told you how to survive your failures. And so, go out there, do something that you're not confident in, and go fail at it. Do me a favor, live.